Hey guys, I just wanted to make a short video and see how I feel about it. Might be a long one, might be a short one. My goal here is mostly, I guess, to see how it feels to vlog and also kind of introduce myself. My name is Alyssa. I've gone by Owie for a while, probably close to 11 years, but trying to change my name from my birth name to Lyss. So you can call me Owie or Lyss, either one. Um, yeah, my goal is to see if I'm comfortable uploading it first of all, and kind of get in the groove of vlogging. I've wanted to vlog for a very, very, very long time. The only thing stopping me really is the fact that my kids are kind of loud, and my health is not always the best. Uh huh. So yeah, I'll introduce myself. I grew up uh the gifted kid, like college level reading in 5th or 6th grade. Uh Grew up also Christian. That was not something I wish on people, but I grew up Christian. Um I he's trying to be seen on the camera. That's Victor. I have two kids currently, Victor, who is turning 6 this month, and a daughter called Thea. Well, called Tiny, named Thea, who turned 3 in October. My mind just went blank. I was watching him jump. Yeah, 6-year-old. And then I have a daughter, 3, Thea. She turned 3 in October. Let me see. Victor, hush, please. I'm going through a divorce right now. From Victor's dad. I'm not naming names. This isn't meant to be like a drama channel. Just keeping it real. But the divorce itself is fine. We're mostly just clashing on like uh parenting and structuring parenting. Uh, After my ex-husband left, he moved to his home state when Victor was 1. After that happened, several months later, I was talking to one of my high school friends, and I was just texting him over Snap, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the toilet right now. I got tummy issues." And then I was like, I can call because I was a overnight deli sandwich maker, so I had kind of all the freedom in the world. So I was like, "Yeah, we can call. It's fine." And so, like, you can kind of guess. Like a nerdy white guy gets on the phone, kind of cute Asian, and flirting happened. I personally planned on being single, at least until Victor graduated high school. But I did notice that Victor was kind of lonely. Like, mom works, dad's in another state. The only people that he has interactions with at one is my grandmother, who I call Nana, my dad, who is Victor's Lolo, um, my sister, and my brother, who were babysitting for me. It was kind of like a rotating schedule because I was overnight. So it was like babysitting kind of had to happen 24/7. And I did sacrifice a lot of my sleep in order to hang out with him after I got off of work. Uh, which wasn't a problem. It was shoot, I was what, 22? So being able to work overnight and staying up and not getting all the hours that I should have been getting, it was actually rather easy. So where was I? Anyways, back to his name's Kenneth. And if I do start vlogging, I upload this and I do start vlogging, he's gonna be on the channel quite a bit because, you know. Anyways, we were video chatting over Snapchat while I was working. Flirting was happening, and I'm like, I had already had in my mind that I wanted my son to have a sibling. Like that was something that I've wanted since he was in my belly. Like I didn't want him to grow up alone. I grew up with, hear me out, 9 siblings. That's another story. But anyways, 9 siblings. And so like, yeah, there's sibling rivalry and, you know, but it's different when you grow up alone. And I don't know from experience, obviously, but I do have friends that are only children. How'd that conversation go? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna mute. So the conversation, I think he made like a sex joke, and I was like, nah, I'm not into that. At the time, I thought I was asexual because of reasons I don't want to state yet, but I will go through that if I do vlog. I kind of want to go through everything in my life as like kind of like a video diary. I'm getting distracted. A sex joke led into like, can you like nut in a cup for me so I can have your kid? Like no strings attached. Like we can be roommates and stuff. You can teach my son how to pee, like a man. Not to be sexist, but um, he said something along the lines of like, "Nah, if I'm gonna have a kid, I want to have the fun of making the kid," which was like, oh, uh, but you know, kind of just kept talking, and I had him come over, which was originally supposed to be a trip to Ross because me and Victor needed new clothes, and I had just gotten paid. But because he lived 2-ish hours away from me, he was south. I live in Seattle. Um, it because it was afternoon. I want to say 1 or 2 was when he was able to leave. So like peak traffic. Took him 4 hours to show up. So we did not go to Ross because I had to sleep at least a little bit before work, which also didn't end up happening. But it was so cute. He was laying on top of the bed, like on top of the blankets. I was underneath, like a platonic nap together, I guess. I don't know what the plan was, but he drove all that way. I wasn't gonna be like, JK, I gotta sleep, go away. So just like sit here while I nap before work. And I didn't end up sleeping at all, but he was on top of the blankets, I was under the blankets, I was all comfy cozy. I didn't even realize he was doing that until like an hour or so into the conversation. Like we were having all different types of conversation. And basically like the gist of it was like I was telling him like I have baggage, I have trauma, I have issue, I'm insecure. Like I was giving him the lowdown. I was giving him the lore. I was telling him everything. And then after that whole lore thing, I started talking about like my goals in life. Like I want to have like 5 kids. I want to have like 5 dogs. Like I want a family compound. I was telling him all this different shit. Like I want the white picket fence. I want the mom car. Yeah. And then I got up to go pee. Came back. I was basically like trying to be my boyfriend. He goes, yeah. So then I go from working at my job, like, and I was already getting about 10 hours of overtime a week. So, uh, like I wasn't struggling for cash. But the issue was I wanted to get an apartment that was a 2 bedroom, and I had to move out of my nana's. Give me 1 second. I gotta tell him to be quiet again. Had to move out of my nana's, which is where me and my ex-husband stayed with. Um, just like financial reasons, neither of us were responsible with money, so we ended up never saving money to move out. Uh, so I wasn't strapped for cash. The problem was I wanted a 2 bedroom and I wanted a washer dryer in unit. And if you're in Seattle, you know that like having a full kitchen, full washer dryer, like all the shenanigans, it's expensive. And because we were gonna be roommates, initially I talked to him about being roommates, like me and Victor in one room and he's in one room, like nothing weird going on. Just because I knew he wasn't a weirdo and not a creep and good with kids, so I could rotate schedules with him and do. He works, I'm with Victor. I work, he's watching Victor for me. So the problem was whether or not his income would count because he was doing not DoorDash, Uber Eats at the time for income. So I was swapping between working my job and uh, going over to Bremerton, basically, which is the area ish where he was Uber Eating, and uh, I would go to work, go over. I take one of the ferries over there. Uber Eats with him because there was no way for us to like really talk or hang out or anything because we needed to save up to get an apartment. And I applied a couple places that were within a budget that I could pay rent on my own if, uh, like, let's say he got a car, got the car crash, flat tire, what have you. You know, maintenance is expensive. If he couldn't make the money, I would be able to pay it. So not very many units within that budget, but uh on our 1 month anniversary, we got an approval for the first apartment that we moved into. A month after that, I took out my next plan on birth control to get pregnant with my daughter. And then, my mind went blank again. I was listening to Victor. So, it kind of, I mean, it matters for my history, but it also doesn't. Meeting him, like, technically we met while we were still in school. And actually, funny story, I forgot about that until about a year into our relationship. I remembered that there was this bald kid in his ROTC uniform on the bus that I was taking to my then boyfriend's house after school. And dude was like cracking jokes. And so he said something to my then boyfriend, and I was like, yo, mama, something, something, something. And he goes, my mom's dead. So that traumatized me. I was like 15, I think. And I just like erased that memory. And so technically we met in high school, but meeting him again during the like platonic nap plan, it was like it was like if you've ever like dry sobbed and begged the universe to have your man act right or just make him leave or because I was doing that. I was doing that for months. I was like ugly crying, begging God or whoever's above God, if God exists. Like, I was just begging the universe, like, please, please make him act right or send me someone that will. And it felt like it like clicked. Like, this was the one that I asked for, basically. Not trying to say that I manifested him or whatever, but it felt like that. And so the fact that we worked so well together doing Uber Eats, we communicated boundaries, we communicated how we want to communicate. Like, it wasn't perfect by any means. Like, we still had fights after we got into our apartment. I mean, dude was never in a long-term relationship, so I understand. But like, even though we still had fights, even though it felt at moments where like maybe this isn't going to work, it still felt like that click, and it still felt like that's my person. um and we had a couple hiccups after I got pregnant. It was like the typical misogyny type stuff, like I'm home all day, because I was very sick while I was pregnant. Like, I could not stand. But it's like, if you're gonna be home all day and not work, I had to quit my job. That's a whole different story. uh like, why aren't you doing anything? And my side of the argument was that his cat, who had like abandonment emotional issues and like really bad anxiety, was constantly peeing everywhere. And I'm like, dog, I'm pregnant. I shouldn't even be in the same room as this cat pee. And it didn't really click for him until he did his own research and understood that you can't have a pregnant woman cleaning up cat piss. Really? After that, it was mostly smooth sailing. We normally fight over like reasonable stuff. Um, and then after I had our daughter, it was like, that wasn't so bad. I could do that. I could do that a few more times. It wasn't like that when I had Victor, but that's a whole can of worms. But after having her, it was like, I could do this a couple more times. I could deal with that. I could deal with being sick. I could deal with not being able to function, because as soon as my body went back to normal, things were perfect once again. Not actually perfect. I understand that there were things that were not perfect. There were things that was like, maybe he should be better off as a baby daddy than a husband. But my point being, I would rather have these fights with him than with someone else, because I've seen firsthand how these arguments can go. They can go in all types of directions. Some people aren't willing to understand that the way they were raised is not how you should be raising your kids, or what you saw growing up is not how you should be treating your spouse, etc., etc. Like, he learns. I don't have to beat him or nothing. So I have like a checklist of things that I want to talk about. It's not in any particular order. I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I'm running off on tangents because it is 1 p.m. and I took my Adderall super early this morning. So it's probably starting to wear off right about now. But I have two more kind of loaded ones. My divorce and my health. So I'm gonna go with the easier one, because my health has been a motherfucking struggle. So ever since I was 15, I would have a recurring UTI and chest pain out of nowhere. It felt like I was dying. I would puke for seemingly no reason at all. I would have the shits or constipation for seemingly no reason at all. Just like a whole list of shit that in the moment felt like maybe I was pregnant, but I was on the depot at the time, so there was no reason for any of these symptoms. And I attributed a lot of these symptoms to the depot because that was the only thing that I was taking. Uh, and so that really made me normalize for the last 12 years the shit that I'm going through. I'm sorry, I keep saying shit. I have a potty mouth. But yeah, I started normalizing everything, and I'm talking like chronic hip pain, chronic back pain, intermittent chest pain up to 9 days a month. And when I got pregnant with Victor, I actually started fainting. Going to the ER a couple times, I've had CTs, I've had chest x-rays, I've had chest or heart ultrasounds, I've had all kinds of blood work, I've had hormonal blood work, I've had thyroid checks, like diabetes, breathing, for to get diagnosed with asthma, they have you breathe into this thing. Had that, and like just a lot of chronic shit. I keep saying shit. A lot of chronic stuff that I normalized, that looking back now, I'm actually really disappointed that my doctors didn't realize or connect the dots at all. Everything that I had ever been treated for was treated as an isolated incident, even though they'd done the workup, they'd done my history, like. And then, funny story, me and Kay were having an argument, and it lasted several days, and the cat piss was included in this argument. I essentially said, I am going to go get diagnosed for my mental health issues. I'm going to get treatment. I'm going to be in therapy, and I'm going to ask for medications. I'm going to constantly work on myself. If a year from now we are having the same problems, you are the problem, not me. And yes, that was kind of not nice, but I did get treated. I got diagnosed with bipolar, not what type, just bipolar, and agoraphobia with panic disorder, complex PTSD. Did I say panic disorder? I don't remember. But I was already diagnosed with derealization slash depersonalization disorder. And that was, I want to say 2019-ish. But everything else was new. I had a favorite therapist in, I think, 2019. She moved states, unfortunately. But she was trying to, I don't know if she said get certified or what, for EMDR. And that actually helped a lot with my PTSD and anxiety. I was able to do a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to do before. But for the next couple years, I think I got diagnosed in 2023. So the argument would have had to have happened early 2023 or late 2022, after our daughter was born. When I say I was pregnant, but I'm terrible with timelines. So I had been put on basically every option. I've tried Abilify, Circle, Latuda. Yes, baby. Are you better now? Try not to show them on my camera. Are you all better now? That's good. Want to go get a snack? Medication. So actually, funny story. My third or fourth psychiatrist that I was seeing, you possibly mid 2024, I want to say, because I was still seeing her at my old apartment. She basically said that it looked, based off of all the failed medications, that I have a sensitivity to medication, especially the lithium, which I ended up having to go to the ER for. So she put me on off-label stuff to help with bipolar. She gave me 50 milligrams of Seroquel, 20 milligrams of Latuda to take at the same time, and she combined those, she said, for coverage. That one was okay. Oxcarbazepine for irritation. What else? Hydroxyzine to kind of help with the anxiety, because buspirone didn't help, or Busbar. And that right there, a couple months after that, I started really like questioning whether or not I was bipolar because I am a procrastinator. I have ADHD. I'm a procrastinator. Okay. Don't judge me. I would go a couple weeks without my medications and be perfectly fine. Keep in mind, I was in therapy this whole time. So I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be better. And I would go several weeks without these medications on the lowest dose. So no like withdrawal or whatever. And I would be perfectly fine. I can't find Victor anywhere. He left home. At the end of 2024, I started working as a groundskeeper. And at first, it was great. I was having so much fun because I was working with Kay again. We worked at the hospital, Harborview, together as custodians. Found him. And it wasn't until May, no, April. It wasn't until April that my like heat intolerance really started to affect me because I'm a groundskeeper. I'm going to be outside. And I had accommodations in to take frequent breaks and, disappear for a little bit to hydrate and cool off or change or take a shower. I had accommodations in. Uh, and in April, I had the same chest pain that I've had basically my whole life. Except after the first day, I was really suspicious because usually if I take Tylenol and ibuprofen at the same time, it'll go away. But it didn't. So on the third day, I called my clinic and I asked to speak to a provider because I knew my doctor wasn't in that day. And we tried, hitting my inhaler to see if that would help. He went through my history and uh, asked me to come in. I went in. We went through all the history and couldn't come up with a reason for the pain. So I was prescribed an antacid, omeprazole. I was prescribed famotidine, and those not famotidine wasn't that appointment, but it was a previous appointment. And the hope was that it was some kind of gastric issue causing my chest pain. I knew it wasn't because when I was 15, my PCP at the time prescribed me a high dose of ranitidine, which, if you don't know, is also an antacid. And in June, things got worse. I started noticing that blood was pooling in my legs. I got dizzy every time I stood up, despite having swapped from drinking Monster in the morning to drinking liquid IV so I can, keep my blood volume up. I started wearing my watch. I noticed that my heart rate was like extremely high for someone who is simply walking around or from going sitting to standing. And for that entire month of June last year, 2025, I started like really connecting all of the dots. And I'm ashamed to say this, I didn't realize ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever are like ruining the environment. But I was using ChatGPT. I was listing all my symptoms and tracking, and I I dedicated basically all of my spare minutes into trying to figure out what was wrong with me. ChatGPT can't diagnose you, but it can point you towards potential diagnoses that you can go get checked out with your doctor. I started realizing really fast that my symptoms line up almost perfectly with POTS, with Ehlers-Danlos, and with mast cell activation syndrome, which those three together are usually diagnosed together. Like, they don't have to all be diagnosed. You can, it's possible that only have one or two of those, but the trifecta is what they're calling it. I started telling my doctor about it. He did a poor man's tilt table test and was able to diagnose orthostatic intolerance and refer me over to neurology in June. Keep in mind it is February 2026 and I still have not seen a a neurologist. Sorry, I'm trying to get my son diagnosed, or not diagnosed, evaluated with a neuropsychologist. So that one's kind of coming out of my mouth first. A couple different things also happened. I was swapping between birth controls, trying to find one that would kind of help me with migraines and weight loss, and because I was overweight, and not in the normal way. I did learn that it was from my bipolar medications. Upon learning about POTS and drawing all these conclusions, I also learned that bipolar has a lot of overlapping symptoms. POTS and bipolar have a lot of overlapping symptoms. So in order to try and help with my chest pain, I started to titrate off of my medications. Thankfully, the only ones that I was really on at the time were tablets and not capsules. So that kind of made it easier. Again, I'm functioning pretty normally. I don't think I had bipolar, and I'm also on a hormonal birth control, which has leveled out my mood so much. And so I think that combined with being sensitive to medications, especially antipsychotics, I am also sensitive to birth control. And I say that because before the pill that I'm on now, I had only tried progesterone only birth control. And I had all the tells for bipolar on progesterone only birth control. Now I'm on a combined pill and my mood is easily regulated. The only thing that didn't change was my anxiety, something that no one was comfortable treating with actual. Give me 1 second. I'm not going to edit these out because these pauses, because it's just imagine children are screaming. That's my reality, unfortunately. So give me 1 second again. Let's just start getting along. So now that I'm waiting for a POTS diagnosis, more yelling. Now that I'm waiting for a POTS diagnosis, I am writing down all of the symptoms that aren't normal, that are chronic, that are recurring. Especially that I have very lax skin. I am able to bend extremities and limbs in ways that they shouldn't technically do. Gastric issues in the sense of, like, as soon as I'm done eating, I need to go sit on the toilet. Energy crash at 4 p.m. every single day. Blood pooling, dizziness on standing, my ears ring when I stand. My vision starts to go TV static and dark when I stand. Feeling my heartbeat in my skull when I stand. Random hives. I get random hives. There's no trigger. Like today, I haven't done anything. I have a hive here, over here. I don't know if you can see. A couple hives here. I have a rash here that won't go away. I don't know if you can see it. It's not itchy, and it's not like peeling. It's not bumpy. I don't know what it is. Also have one on my elbow right there. and I've had this one for almost 3 months now. I've tried antifungals, I've tried eczema cream, I've tried extreme eczema cream, the one you're not supposed to use more than 2 weeks because it will thin your skin. Let me see what else. Just random hair loss. My hair just falls out for no reason. My face, when I take a shower and I'm wetting my face, I'm washing it and getting all clean and shit. My skin, I go like this, and it's just my nails are full of dead skin. It's gross. But I do feel like really bright and clean afterwards. What else? Oh, an interesting one. This one's really interesting. Um, Keeping POTS in mind, I was able to test out a theory and see whether or not my anxiety is actually like a vascular issue, if that makes sense. Um, and I did that because my watch readings, I have a Samsung watch. My heartbeat was just not, that's not right. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot. And it happens when I squat, when I stand, when I go from sitting to standing, when I go from laying to standing. Like, it doesn't make sense. And my thought process was, is this anxiety, or just hand it to me? Was this anxiety, or was it like adrenaline? Because when my psychiatrist all asked me about my anxiety, they expected like panic attacks all the time. They expected that I would feel certain things that I didn't feel, like physical things. And I would tell them, like, no, like my heartbeat just goes way up there, which, another red flag. Um, and I started testing it out. Mostly mind over matter type stuff. Taking my anxiety medication before doing certain things that would normally cause me to be anxious. And I just started noticing that I'm like almost 100% certain that at one point in my life, my body started acting like this. And it kind of like, my brain interpreted it as anxiety. And then it kind of generalized. And then it kept getting worse and worse and worse up until I had Victor. Because before Victor, I wasn't able to leave the house. Like, my ex called me embarrassing because I couldn't go out in public. So yeah, so I am diagnosed with a lot of stuff that I don't actually have. And the depression, especially because once my birth control was uh, swapped to combined hormonal, I don't even go through the same depression that I did before. Like, I'll get sad, I'll feel lonely, but I'm not depressed anymore. So my health has been a roller coaster. I'm still waiting to get diagnosed. Because when I say poor man's tilt table, I mean she had me lay down on the exam table that's in a normal clinic for a certain amount of time, and then stand up and then take my blood pressure uh and heart rate after, I think it was 5, 10, 15 increments. I don't remember. It was too long ago, but going to neurology, they can do an actual tilt table test where I don't have to move. They just strap me to a table and spin me around. So that'll be nice. I might get sick, but it'll be nice to know if I have POTS or not. Why are you screaming? He did not eat you. He licked you. The doggy did not eat you. He licked you. Gave you kisses. Hmm. That was kisses. I watched it happen. So kind of transferring from that topic into home life. Stay-at-home mom. I was medically forced to resign my last job in July last year because of the risks of fainting while doing groundskeeping duties no one wants to faint while they're clearing a trash chute for a 500 plus unit building. That doesn't sound fun. I have the medical proof. My doctor wrote me a note and they accepted it. They actually paid me out for my 2 weeks notice. Give me 1 second. Adding one more thing, my health started getting worse that April to July area, and my weight was like a steady 140. Um, and then I want to say November, I was having several weeks of not being able to eat. Nothing would stay in. I wasn't puking; it was coming out the other end immediately after eating. My doctor's not too concerned because I am not underweight. I am now, I think, 133, not gaining anything, not losing anything. I'm kind of swapping between 133, 134, which, keep in mind, before I had kids, when I was in high school, I was 129. And that was because we were poor and we didn't have access to the same eating schedule, snacking schedule as not poor kids. Back to my home life. We're swapping over to home life. Home life is getting more difficult. I actually had to adopt. I had to adopt. I had to adopt a dog. To scent train for cardiac changes, so that he can alert me and I can sit my ass down before I have not good reactions to life, and to have him be there while I'm taking a shower because there's no adult for me to keep in the shower. My boyfriend works and we don't live with anyone, so it's just me and the kids. I'd rather the dog be able to be there for me than my 6-year-old or a 3-year-old. And it's a pretty small bathroom. It's got a stand-up shower, a toilet, and a sink, and that's it. It's pretty fucking small. It fit 2 people. But I don't want to faint in the shower and end up falling on one of them and hit them with the glass door. That would suck. I can't consistently do chores, so I have this kind of process where I wake up, I cook, clean what I can, sit down for the rest of the time between when we woke up to 1-ish, when I make Hayes lunch for him, feed the kids, and they have snacks in their that's accessible to their size. And then after that, I pick up Victor from school when he gets out, and then at 4 p.m. I have a crash every day where if I don't take a nap, I am not functional for the rest of the night. Usually can't take a nap because I'm home alone with a 6 and 3-year-old. Unfortunately. Okay. Okay. So that's where Kay steps in, and once he's off of work, we decide what we're doing for dinner. And Victor has been diagnosed with autism. He has he struggles the most with like transitions. He needs to have a very strict routine. He requires like maximum assistance in regulating his emotions, and he's learning the zones of regulation. And most recently, because we reintroduced contact with his dad, he's been having pretty bad peaking anxiety. So he doesn't actually go to school every day. Last week he did all 5 days. Super proud. But before that, he was out of school for a week, and then before that, he went to school I think 1 or 2 days. And I'm keeping in contact with his school about it. We're like super tight, and we have upwards of 10 referrals out for him right now for support and like just different kind of therapies and services that would help. Um, and we've already done occupational therapy. We're trying to swap away from the place we're going to UW location. Waiting on that referral. We've done nutrition because he has a pretty bad food aversion, and that's the part that I was trying to lead up to with the whole figure out something for dinner. Um, the reason I can't save money right now is because in order to make sure he is fed, we have to really pay attention and listen to what his body is saying. And keep in mind, we've tried force feeding, and by force feeding, I mean a no thank you bite, where you take a no thank you bite before you can have something else to, make sure you don't like it. And when he takes a no thank you bite for something that he doesn't want to eat, what he sure, I can tell Daddy to pick up some fruit snacks.
You take it to the store?
Stop. Not right now because Daddy took the car, but I can later. Can you wait till Daddy gets home?
Yeah. Hey!
1 second. Baby, where's your phone? Well, hand it to me. It's not playing. Maybe you have to watch videos too. Your phone's kind of warm. His phone's gonna die. He has to watch videos so it doesn't die. Oh, and he goes through phases of like favorite fast food, so he'll require pizza. Get off me! Off me! Go! God, my dog's shoving his nose in my armpit. Different fast food. So we've gone through phases where he can only eat pizza most of the days for dinner. We've gone through only McDonald's. We've gone through only Mexican food. Like, you name it, we've had to do it. And the nutritionist that we saw essentially said that until he's a little bit older, there's not much we can do about that. We've seen a nutritionist. We've done what we can. He's able to take more no thank you bites now than he was like a year and 2 years ago. Do I want to talk about my divorce? Because it's kind of a touchy subject. So I filed for divorce when I got hired in December of 2024 because I'm like, I can pay for it now. Turns out I wasn't making very much money and I actually got approved for a fee waiver. I'm trying to mentally decide what's okay to talk about and what's not. So I'll talk about like if I do upload this, no one knows him. I'm not using names. Basically our marriage was not intended to be an actual marriage. It was kind of a bribe to do something I didn't want to do, and I didn't do it. And that made him unhappy, and me not being able to like be enough made me unhappy. So we were kind of always taking our anger out on each other, or not anger, but like I guess existential frustration. And so when he left, it wasn't too surprising. It was devastating because of the dynamic of the relationship. And uh I want to say the first year or so, we were good about communicating. I communicated everything, and child support at that time was going through Venmo. So I was like, I'm spending like $80 on new clothes, and do you want to split that with me? And then he would split that with me. Like, it was all right. It wasn't perfect, but it was all right. I think a year and a half went by. He visited for the first time since leaving states for Victor's third birthday, and then again for his fourth birthday, and not since. Um, what else? Um, Calling for the first year was a struggle because we would like pick a day and then that day for some reason wouldn't work or Victor wouldn't want to talk to him. And so like I have a table color coded for our judge because our trial is in April. Showing the gaps, and the longest gap from, let me see, to June 25 to December. If you want to do the math, I think that's 6. But 6 months ish. And before that, it's just a lot of red because I wanted red to be for anything that was over a month. Um, and, and I'm not trying to be petty, but to show the judge like this was your way of staying in contact and building a relationship with your child, and you couldn't consistently do that for 1 to 2 months at a time frequently. And so like I'm not trying to be mean. I never want to be mean. Like I lose my temper when things are unreasonable or illogical. Like for example, he stayed with us for the 2 visits on Victor's third and fourth birthday. But now suddenly he is uncomfortable being around me and uncomfortable talking to me over the phone. Keep in mind, nothing dramatic has changed. I sent an email saying I would no longer facilitate the relationship and I would not be paying for the app that I was paying for in order for them to talk and have video chats. Could I have handled it better? Probably, but I'm not a fucking lawyer. So I did what I felt was best. Um, and Victor's phone number didn't change until what's the month after August? The month after August. And then we had mediation in October where I provided his new phone number and still no contact. That bothers me as his mom because like he deserves to have all of his parents. That includes step parents or soon to be in the future potential whatever step parents too. He deserves to have everyone. Everyone in his circle should be loving, supporting, providing safety, security, financial security, you know what I mean? And so when I lose my temper, I am not losing my temper for me. I am losing my temper because it feels like my child is being disrespected. And I try to describe it to Kay in a certain perspective, and that being I sacrificed my body, my mental health to build this child from scratch, so to speak. And to then allow people to disrespect this perfect creation, it's just an affront. You know what I mean? Like it is a genuine sin. Not to get religious. I'm not religious. But like the level of not okay that is for me is like it's a sin. You should not be disrespecting, you should not be dismissing, you should not be invalidating or not supporting and you know, a little kid. He's a little kid. And two, that whole like mentality led me to compliment him on his new spouse and I can't remember my words exactly, but you know, I think I said bonus mom. Like, I'm excited for Victor to potentially have a bonus mom, and I am because I grew up. My parents got divorced when I was 11, and my dad had girlfriends. Um, and you know, they were nice. They were supportive. They bought us things. One of them actually helped us get rid of head lice. So you know, bonus parents are just that. They're bonus parents. They take care of you. They should take care of you. And oh, actually, I sent her a friend request, which pretty sure was denied. But like, I draw the line clearly where it's like I'm responsible for anything that Kay does. He's responsible for anything that his new girl does. And so it comes back to me and him providing that safety, security, all that. And if we are not, losing your temper in that situation feels justifiable to me. Not justifiable, but right, correct, the right thing to do. Because if you can't get called out on your bullshit, how are you going to correct it? You know what I mean? And I try to be respectful. I try to assert boundaries with respectful language, be nice about it, and try to leave like my feelings out of it. I'm not perfect at that, but I try to leave my feelings out of it and try to do it in a way that's like, this isn't conducive to a healthy parenting relationship or whatever. And not like, I don't think you're parenting right. See the difference? Um, and I also kind of feel weird saying this out loud because I don't think I've said it out loud yet. I was actually looking forward, like once I got over the fact that he left, I was looking forward to co-parenting and being a team and not necessarily being friends. Like we don't have to talk to each other, but like friendly enough that someone on the outside could probably infer that we were still friends. And so when we started like growing towards communicating normally and frequently, and my hopes shot to the sky. Like my hopes were up there. And then, you know, mid late 2024, uh, things started going downhill. What was I saying? Oh, the visit for 2024. That was also like that shot my hopes to the sky because I was trying to teach him how to help Victor regulate during an awful meltdown on his birthday. It was during his birthday party where I actually I ended up having to take him, Victor. I had to take him away from everyone and kind of do my thing and regulate. So that sucked. But like the way that Kay has been raising Victor is like, I know I'm not your dad, but I am your dad. So like I'm gonna take care of you until I die, basically. Like he is dedicated. He's one of those stepdads. And so his interactions, even through all the times where I was losing my temper, my feelings were hurt, I was disappointed. Fine. Um, he stayed out of it. Comforted me, but he stayed out of it. He nothing, and I'm sure he has things he would like to say, but he keeps it to himself. You know what I mean? Like he's respectful. And during the visits, they actually like tried to bond. They tried to play games together. Kay and Victor's dad. And so that made me feel like our future was not going to be difficult. Okay, you gotta give me a second. Can you give me a second? I thank you.
You see that? Legs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really got hurt by his claws.
You gotta be careful though. What if you accidentally step on him? Already distracted. Yeah, so not like within the next couple weeks of me sending the friend request to his new girl, not seeing that it was accepted, or like when I go to notifications, I'm like, oh, this person accepted my friend request. You know who still hasn't?
This goes bite me.
He does not bite.
He put his tooth on my toe.
What was I saying? Oh, the following weeks to not see that it was accepted or get the notification that it was accepted, kind of disappointing. And like, not even like to me, it was disappointing that we can't just be friends for the sake of Victor, because the way I see it, you're gonna be in his dad's life. Dad wants visitations, you know, he wants breaks to be spent with him. That means you're gonna be around Victor too. So we should at least be able to communicate. And I don't know if I don't know what her privacy settings are, but I could probably message her. Also, don't want to be weird and be the first one to reach out. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to decide what's appropriate to put in a vlog. Like I put into our custody case, I disclosed some things that are now being made out to be like I made it up. I'm trying to defame, slander. Like, no, this is directly relevant to the child, not me. Like, if I, like, those kind of accusations would make sense, that, like, defamation and all that, if this was a criminal case. This is a family law case where what I'm disclosing needs to and has to be related to the child. And so I can understand, as the partner to someone with a baby mama, to see that type of stuff and be like, yo, she lying. I promise you, if by some chance you come into this channel, I have uploaded this vlog and you're hearing this, you watch the whole thing, I promise you I'm not lying. I have actually been in therapy for it for 2021 and 2026. 5 years. And, you know, you could ask, you could always reach out and talk to me about it, you know? And I'm not trying to say that he's that person now, but that's the person that he was. And the connection that I am drawing between the person that he was and the person he is now has nothing to do with the action itself, more so the ability slash proof to grow as a person, if that makes sense. Because it's one thing to try and flip the script and say that the person is lying, defaming, slandering. And it's another thing to say, I did that and I have grown. You know what I mean? But moving from that, I just want to say that if you watch this full video, thank you. Again, not sure if I'm uploading it or not, but thank you. And I am hopefully going to be making another one soon, and I hope to actually start regularly uploading these little vlogs. I don't know if I want to do like actual vlogging of my life. I have a video right now that I'm trying to edit it really long, like not this long, but it's long. But basically, if you watch this far, thank you. Even if you didn't like it, even if it wasn't your job, you know what I mean. Thank you. And before anyone asks, these are tattoos, and they are in dedication to XXX Tentacion, who whose, whose music saved me during a hard part of my life. And his meaning for them resonated with how I feel. So it's a tribute. It's not like tribal. It's not supposed to be like a joke or anything. And yes, this is a K for Kenneth. But yeah, before they start getting louder, I just want to say thank you and hope to see you in the next one.